So too was the ASHP-CH&M collaboration that conceived and created the September 11 Digital Archive, which we launched in January 2002. The 9/11 Digital Archive, which we developed over the next 3 years, became one of the largest collections of primary materials, totaling upwards of 150,000 items related to the September 11 attacks and their aftermath, solicited from ordinary citizens and participants who were affected by the events. True to our public history roots, ASHP and CH&M decided early on that the archive needed to be open and accessible from the outset to the general public, rather than a hidden, fixed repository designed solely for scholars. And to assure the archive's longevity, we arranged to have it accessioned by the Library of Congress in 2003, the first fully digital archive the DLC ever accepted. The September 11 Digital Archive helped pioneer one of DH's most important contributions to the development of public scholarship, the creation of digital archives that seek to preserve vital resources and materials related to important and impactful contemporary events, whether natural or political. Following our example, digital archive projects have been developed over the past decade on subjects as diverse as Hurricane Katrina, the Christchurch, Australia earthquake, and the Boston Marathon bombing. Actually, maybe not so diverse. I'm struck by how all of these digital archive projects that I've mentioned are about natural or human-made disasters. Must be something in that. As important as the archival intent of these projects to preserve the past, perhaps equally as important is the ways in which their digital forms and open access allow teachers and students to engage in active teaching and learning about the larger issues and questions that these events reveal. In writing about the September 11 Digital Archive as a teaching tool, Claire Potter, who writes the widely read Tenure Radical blog in the Chronicle of Higher Education, notes that, quote, "The workers, citizens, and survivors whose stories made history that clear September day have left their voices in the intriguing, emotional, and richly descriptive artifacts collected on and linked to this website. It is a particularly promising source for teaching history. The site blends the sense of discovery and ease of access that causes students to use the web as a resource in the first place, with standard genres of evidence that could train those same students to use conventional archives as well: written documents, images, video, oral histories, and audio found objects such as voicemail and spontaneous tape recordings," unquote. Of all the positive reviews of the 9/11 Digital Archive that the archive has garnered over the years, this is the one that most pleases me, precisely because it speaks to the possibilities inherent in digital technology to expand the scope and very purpose of what we teach and how and to whom we teach it. Let me now turn briefly to several other digital pedagogy projects that we pioneered at CUNY that I think can help inform possible DH work at an institution like UIC. I was asked by the Graduate Center's president in the year 2000 if I would develop a new program for our graduate students who she believed needed to learn how to use digital technologies and tools in their academic teaching and research, such as the ones we had pioneered at ASHP. Working collaboratively with a group of faculty and doctoral students, I conceived and have coordinated since its founding in 2001 the Interactive Technology and Pedagogy Doctoral Certificate Program at the Graduate Center, which is an interdisciplinary certificate that provides students from a range of academic disciplines with opportunities to reflect on the broader theories behind and pedagogical implications of digital technology usage in the academy, and to make sense of the growing reach of DH inside and beyond, inside the academy and beyond. The program features a strong theoretical orientation to technology's role historically in transforming the ways we work and play, hands-on instruction in and uses of a variety of digital technology tools, as well as ongoing conversations about the pedagogical implications and possibilities inherent in using digital tools to enhance the quality of teaching and learning, as well as to transform and reshape academic research and publication. Many Graduate Center doctoral students are employed at various CUNY campuses as instructors across the 5 boroughs of the city during their graduate careers with sole responsibility for teaching large introductory survey courses to undergraduates in their particular academic disciplines. CUNY, by the way, has a total of more than 270,000 matriculating undergraduates at our 24 campuses. The uses of digital technology to improve pedagogy is therefore of particular interest to our graduate students and to CUNY in general, as I tried to suggest in my article in Macroll's Debates in the Digital Humanities collection. Our ITP students are helping reshape the pedagogy of many CUNY undergraduate classrooms using blogs, wikis, websites, digital cameras, and other digital technologies and pedagogical strategies to engage CUNY undergraduates as more active makers of knowledge, not merely passive consumers of it. Nearly 160 doctoral students from the humanities, social sciences, and the hard sciences have enrolled in the ITP program over the past decade, and almost 4 dozen have now completed the ITP certificate requirements. The certificate is awarded when the students receive their doctorate degrees. A number of IT graduates have been able to parlay the skills they learned in digital technology and digital pedagogy, along with their discipline-based doctorates, to find traditional academic positions in universities and colleges around the country and internationally, as well as non-traditional digital humanities, digital pedagogy, alt-act positions, and postdocs. A second digital pedagogy project at CUNY, looking for Whitman, The Poetry of Place in the Life and Work of Walt Whitman, offers an excellent example of a digital humanities project that combines digital tools and digital pedagogy. Conceived and headed by my CUNY colleague Matt Gold, the semester-long project brought together undergraduates enrolled in 4 different courses at 4 geographically dispersed college campuses: New York City College of Technology at CUNY and NYU in New York City, University of Mary Washington in Virginia, and Rutgers Camden in New Jersey, to collaborate on exploring Whitman's poetry in relationship to specific places in which Whitman lived and labored. The participating students and faculty members regularly shared ideas, research, and feedback about Whitman's life and writing on the project's WordPress site, which is what you're looking at here. The 4-month effort ended in April 2010 with a face-to-face generative conference held at Rutgers Camden, which not only included reports on what had been accomplished by the students on each of the 4 campuses during the previous fall semester, but also featured continued creation of scholarly content and student presentations about Whitman's life and poetry, all captured on digital video and displayed on the project's website. I think Looking for Whitman is a model for how digital scholarship and digital pedagogy can be combined to enhance undergraduate teaching, as well as how social networking tools such as blogs can help bridge very real geographical, economic, and cultural gaps among and between universities and colleges. Using the somewhat breathless survey of digital production and digital pedagogy project that we've done at CUNY, what lessons might a large public university like the University of Illinois Chicago draw that can help move the institution's faculty and students toward doing DH work? I think one obvious starting point would be to concentrate UIC's institutional resources on building collaborative capacities and incorporating digital technologies and digital pedagogy into academic practice. Let me say something about each of these complementary approaches to doing DH work, again, using our experiences at CUNY as guideposts for how UIC might proceed. DH work at colleges and universities necessitates a digital infrastructure where faculty and students can do DH work individually and collaboratively. This isn't merely about building a robust networked digital infrastructure to handle the substantial computational requirements of many DH research projects. It is equally as much, if not more, about providing collaborative and experimental spaces for faculty and students to engage one another in ongoing discussions that encourage the virtual exchange of ideas as a necessary precursor to doing actual DH project work. One of CUNY's most successful forays into creating that kind of collaborative space has been the development of the CUNY Academic Commons. which this is the launch page for, an open source digital space built on the WordPress and BuddyPress platforms, which since 2009 has allowed more than 5,000 CUNY faculty members, staff, and graduate students to work together, express their opinions and enthusiasms, and occasionally to play together online. So one of my favorite sites is this one, which is the CUNY Pie site, which is for pizza aficionados who travel around New York City, sampling the best pizza in the city, and then blog about it and show pictures of it. Very popular site on the academic commons. Yeah. Faculty and students, we don't discriminate. The CUNY AC combines the best features of WordPress blogging with the relational linkages and group affordances that the BuddyPress social networking tool makes possible. Many of us, myself included, have also used the linked group and blogging software available on the Commons to develop customized hybrid teaching sites that supplement our face-to-face graduates with a range of asynchronous digital activities, including file sharing and blogging. I'll show you, I only do my teaching on the academic commons now, fortunately. For me, access to the CUNY AC to create course websites has meant happily never, ever having to use the clunky and dreadful Blackboard CMS, and I don't. The success of the CUNY Academic Commons as both a learning space and a social space for academic collaboration and experimentation led our Commons development team to create Commons in a Box, an open source tool that we've now made available for free download on the web and that can be used to replicate in institutions large and small the academic commons we have created for the very large CUNY system. Installed on an open source LAMP server, LAMP meaning Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, which are all sort of softwares that are open source softwares. CBox gives institutions the ability to develop collaborative workspaces as well as sufficient blogging capacity for everyone, even in an institution the size of UIC, to embrace and employ digital social media tools. I'm proud to say that CBox, which has already been downloaded almost 10,000 times, just received the Digital Humanities Award for Best DH Tool of the Year, which we are extremely proud of. We have also used the CUNY Academic Commons to launch several open source, open access scholarly journals at CUNY. I've been centrally involved in several of these digital publishing efforts. One that I am particularly proud of that I mentioned earlier is the Journal of Interactive Technology and Pedagogy. Find that for you. Which launched in spring 2011 and which grew out of and is based in the ITP program that I described earlier. JITP is an interdisciplinary academic journal developed by an editorial collective of faculty, staff, and doctoral students that illustrates the possibilities and advantages of using digital tools to rethink the nature of academic research and publication. Her editorial focus is on the broad connections between digital technologies and academic teaching and research. The creation of JITP has allowed my colleagues and me to conceive, solicit articles for review, and finally publish completely online a total of 4 issues to date in a much shorter time frame and with the expenditure of a very small amount of out-of-pocket funds, not counting, of course, our extraordinary self-exploitation as unpaid editors, designers, and site administrators. In addition to traditional long-form articles, which you can see here on the right side, these are the long-form articles. Most of which include a variety of multimedia elements. JITP also has several short-form sections, which you can see along the top here, including assignments, tooltips, book reviews, and teaching fails, which allow the journal to publish on a rolling basis relevant pieces about teaching and curricula as they are developed rather than having to wait for the publication of the next formal issue. Because these short sections are structured as blogs, they are designed to encourage readers to respond immediately with comments, queries, and criticisms of the short submissions as soon as they appear online. We fully expect authors of short and long pieces to rapidly respond to blog inquiries and suggestions in turn, thus encouraging the kind of critical intellectual exchange that the traditional letter to the editor format used by most print journals never quite manages to realize. Using similar digital tools as we did at JITP, I could imagine a group of energetic UIC faculty members and graduate students launching one or more online open access scholarly journals devoted to whatever are the compelling intellectual, academic, and or political issues that motivate and engage your community. Because the entire editorial and production processes are controlled and executed locally by faculty and graduate students with minimal infrastructural support from the central administration, beyond the provision and maintenance of server space, there is room for a great deal of collaboration, experimentation, and capacity building. I would think that at least some current UIC graduate students and even undergraduates, like our graduate students at CUNY, already possess strong digital skills that they can bring to bear on a DH project like producing and publishing an online academic journal. Another digital pedagogy project that we have recently undertaken at the Graduate Center may also be useful for UIC to consider. Matt Gold and I have just finished team teaching the first half of a 2-semester-long introductory course entitled Digital Praxis. Which we designed to give first-year graduate students at the Graduate Center a deep immersion in the varieties and possibility of digital technologies and the digital humanities in order to get them thinking about digital tools and digital methodologies at the very outset of their academic careers. We frequently brought in fairly high-level DH practitioners in the recently completed fall semester to speak to the digital praxis class about their ongoing DH work, and then had those speakers conduct workshops on how graduate students might adapt and extend digital methodologies and tools as they matriculated through their master's and doctoral programs. The seminar yielded a series of student-generated proposals for possible DH research and or pedagogy projects using the NEH Digital Humanities Office's Startup Grant Program as a proposal template. The second semester of the Digital Praxis course, which just began earlier this month, will put students together in teams of 4 or 5 to actually begin the process of planning and building out specific DH projects that they agree in common have the potential to make significant contributions to the field. Perhaps UIC might consider developing a similar introductory course for new humanities graduate students to be taken at the outset of their academic careers to encourage their interest in learning how to employ digital tools for a range of academic purposes. This early immersion in the digital can also make students comfortable with the idea of using what they've learned about digital technologies to generate funding proposals. And NEH-DH startup grants are a great place to start that can help them advance their academic careers and enhance the profile of their academic institutions as well. Finally, UIC faculty can also learn a lot from following the work of the CUNY Games Group, which is driven forward largely by younger community college faculty members at CUNY who are trying hard to integrate gaming concepts into their admittedly staggeringly heavy undergraduate teaching workloads. They teach a 9-course workload, 5 and 4, which is breathtakingly awful. And in any case, both to enliven their classroom practice and to engage their students' interest in learning. The CUNY Games Group, which uses the CUNY Academic Commons extensively, recently held a CUNY Games Festival, which drew more than 200 participants from across the country to a full day of discussions and demonstrations of how gaming can be incorporated into active learning pedagogy. Since I'm into recommending books for you to read, another one that I'd suggest is James Gee's What Video Games Have to Teach Us About Learning and Literacy, published by Palgrave in 2007, in which this cultural linguist develops a series of 36 learning principles drawn from video gameplay that teachers can adapt to their classroom practice. He's not saying use video games in classrooms. He's saying understand the pedagogy that goes into the users learning how to play a video game and apply those lessons to a classroom environment. It's a very interesting and powerful book. All of these digital pedagogy projects are squarely situated in the scholarship of teaching and learning, a fairly recent concept and movement. It even has its own scholarly journal, the Journal of Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, published at Indiana University, that makes the case that faculty should treat and even privilege what they do in the classroom as a scholarly enterprise on a par with their scholarly research and publication work. While I once called digital pedagogy the ugly stepchild of digital humanities, perhaps digital pedagogy has finally shed that identity as more and more respected DHers engage the possibilities of digital technology to improve teaching and learning. So whichever direction or directions UIC decides to move in with respect to digital humanities work, whether deeper engagement with faculty research projects or toward the digital pedagogy and collaborative interdisciplinary undertakings that I've described at CUNY, my final thoughts are about teaching and learning and are drawn from Randy Bass, the founder of the Center for New Designs in Learning and Scholarship at Georgetown University. Candles, it's called Candles. From his path-breaking 1997 introductory essay to Engines of Inquiry. When considering the adoption of new digital pedagogies or digital scholarship, don't be seduced, Bass tells us, by what he calls the rhetoric of the technological sublime, the idea that choosing the right technology automatically solves all teaching and learning problems. Instead, Bass suggests that if we want to use technology in our classrooms, we need to step back and ask three fundamental questions. What am I doing now that I'd like to do better? What pedagogical problems would I like to solve? What do I wish students did more, often, or differently? And if the answers to these questions lead you to decide to employ technology in your classroom, then I would offer three possible approaches to doing digital pedagogy, again drawn from Bass, that fit your particular pedagogical needs and desired ends. 1, inquiry-based learning. 2, bridging reading and writing through online interaction. And 3, making student work public in new media formats. Say those again. Inquiry-based learning, bridging reading and writing through online interaction, and making student work public in new media formats. I think the last one is particularly important. We have a tendency to assign papers to students, and as faculty members, we're the only ones who read them. There's very little feedback, and that depends entirely on our willingness to give feedback to students. I've seen many students, even at the graduate level, who get letter grades on their papers without a word of comment. That's bad enough, but the other thing that needs to happen, I would argue, is students need to engage one another's work so that they can valorize it and understand it. And showing students each other's work and getting them to comment is an important pedagogical device, it seems to me. Whichever of these three, or any others you might imagine you decide to adopt, I would add Bass's final caution. If you are new to using digital technology in your teaching, do one tech innovation at a time and do it well, rather than trying to do 3 or even 5 tech things all at once and succeeding in each of those at best only marginally. The process of undertaking digital scholarship and or implementing digital pedagogies is more like running a marathon than a sprint. Take your time, plan carefully, choose your first project well, build it collaboratively, be metacognitive in your approach to your own teaching, so be thinking about exactly what you're doing while you're doing it, and be prepared, as we tell our ITP students every year, to fail. But make sure that when you do experience the inevitable setbacks in incorporating technology into your scholarly and or pedagogical practice, that you fail forward, as we like to say, that you learn from your mistakes and you try again. Good luck.